I walked through campus with the weight of the Atlantic Ocean in my lungs, pressuring my body, asking my body to taste the salt of the tears and blood and ancestors stacked on that faraway ocean floor where they crossed in chains, carrying keys. I tread carefully on the red bricks and slide on the wet earth and taste the sky salt in my eyes while the rain pours. Whispers, whispers, whispers. On my first day of class in American Indian Studies at the University of Washington, we read 38 by Layli Long Soldier. I learned from Layli Long Soldier that real poems don't need words. I learned from Layli Long Soldier that the man who freed the slaves caused the largest legal mass execution in what is now referred to as the United States history. I knew Abraham Lincoln only freed the slaves so there would be fewer bodies in southern fields growing crops that might benefit his enemies. I knew Abraham Lincoln only freed the slaves to weaken the South. I knew Abraham Lincoln only freed the slaves because it benefited him at the time. I knew he did not deserve the accolades heaped upon him. I did not know that the man people think of as the greatest U.S. president also hanged 38 Dakota men whose act of resistance was fighting to feed their people. I learned that the grass was a poem. I did not know that the Dakota 38 and two riders traveled 325 miles by horseback each year to memorialize the Dakota 38. I did know that sometimes a poem must swing, 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 amen, into the open where everyone can see the strange fruit. The water on my face is poetry when it drips down, 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 and I curse in the face of the young men who call me as they pour out a water bottle over my head. When I touch the waters meant to drown me, separate me from my ancestors, meant to keep me separate but equal, I remember who I am. They say black people can't swim. They say our black skin contaminates their pools. They say Africa is a dry place and we are dry and they hose us down to hurt us when we protest. But I keep going to the water day after day because it's part of me. My kin were born in the crossing of the water. They survived in the bowels of ships and they were thrown overboard. 38 introduced me to the tremendous pain and loss sovereign Indigenous peoples and First Nations peoples have endured at the hands of colonizers. It was while reading this poem that I began to understand how far what is now called the United States had gone to make their crimes invisible. I feel disgusted and betrayed that my education excluded this historical event. While 38 taught me about loss, it also taught me about resistance and agency. The 38 Dakota men who were hanged at Abraham Lincoln's order were part of an organized retaliation against the violence that caused the Dakota people to starve. The story of the Dakota 38 is as much about resistance as it is about loss. Please listen to 38 by Layli Long Soldier. The horror of what the United States has done is fathomless. I cannot begin to explain the loss. An Indigenous people's history of the United States may be the most important book I have ever read. Please read An Indigenous People's History of the United States. Alicia Elliott wrote, I struggle against colonialism the same way I struggle against oppression, telling myself I'm not worthless, that I'm not a failure, that things will get better. Elliott's words stay in my mind a long time, rocking back and forth like waves. I watch my fingertips shake with anticipation as I dog-ear the pages where I find my mind. I go back to the page where Eliot wrote, things that were stolen can be stolen back. It is there that I find my hope. Please read A Mind Spread Out Over the Ground by Alicia Elliott. On the first day of class in American Indian Studies at the University of Washington, I feel like crying for the 38 because I know the rhythm of a body swinging the way I know how strange fruit tastes. I'm sick of being asked to be grateful for this trauma, so I misunderstand my instructor and feel the stitches in my wounds pull tight against the swelling in my heart. In frustration, I think, what good is a college degree when I find myself buried under memories that suffocate me? What good is education when I am asked to use it to hold up the system that crushes me? What good is it to live here when everything hurts and the water in my lungs reminds me of the many ways this country has tried to drown me? What good is living here when my being here is the reason the water is polluted? The sky is smog. The night is bright with artificial light. The birds sing in confusion. Why should I be grateful for the stolen land my stolen people have found themselves on? I learned that as bitter as that memory of colonization tastes, that I still benefit from the occupation of the land I tread carefully on. The water of my poems and in my memories comes from the Columbia River. The water on my skin and in my mouth comes from the Salish Sea. The medicine I get from the people I meet in these stolen lands helps me to let go of my anger and start seeing the truth. I owe my life, my knowledge, my relationships, and my dreams to the people who cared for these waters and these lands. I watch my anger float across the sunset as I sit down and form relationships with people who change my mind in ways therapy never could. And I thank the Duwamish in my heart for giving me a place to heal by caring for the land and caring for the water that forms my poetry.